Behind the glittering walls of Graceland, a storm once erupted that few ever knew about. It wasn't about the music, the fame, or the crowds. It was far more personal. In a moment of raw emotion, Elvis's voice cut through the tension with a fiery, "You listen here." Words that revealed a side of the king rarely glimpsed by the public. What sparked this heated outburst? And how did it change the way those closest to him saw him forever? Stick around, because someone who lived inside Graceland is about to uncover a story you've never heard. In 1972, Elvis and Priscilla's marriage came to an end, but their story was far from over. Though the headlines focused on the breakup, behind the scenes was a little girl caught between two very different worlds. Lisa Marie Presley, still so young at the time, would soon find herself living in a rhythm that few could ever imagine, splitting her life between the quiet order of her mother's home and the whirlwind, unpredictable energy of Graceland. Each visit brought her closer to the legend the world adored, but for Lisa, it was simply about being with her dad. At Graceland, Lisa experienced a lifestyle unlike anything she could find anywhere else. Elvis wasn't the kind of father who followed strict rules or bedtimes. Instead, he turned the mansion into a playground of late nights, laughter, and indulgence. While most parents were tucking their kids into bed, Elvis was just coming alive, sharing stories, handing out surprises, and letting Lisa revel in the kind of carefree moments only he could create. For her, these were treasured memories of warmth, freedom, and being adored by her larger-than-life father. And then there was Billy Smith, Elvis's cousin and one of the last remaining members of the famed Memphis Mafia. Billy lived right there on the Graceland estate and had a front-row seat to these family dynamics. Over the years, he witnessed not only the fun and affection, but also the moments of tension that could flare behind closed doors. It was through his eyes and his stories that we come to understand the hidden layers of Elvis as both an icon and a father, and the clash that would one day erupt in a way that nobody in the Presley family could forget. Lisa Marie was the kind of child who could light up a room the moment she ran in. Curious, bold, and always ready to stir up a little mischief. Around her father, that playful side only grew stronger. She adored him, not as the world's most famous rock star, but simply as Daddy, the man who made her laugh, listened to her endless stories, and never seemed too busy to share in her excitement. For Lisa, being at Graceland wasn't about its grand halls or iconic gates. It was about being wrapped up in the joy of her father's attention. One of the things that thrilled her most was the little childhood magic of the Tooth Fairy. Losing a tooth wasn't just a milestone for Lisa, it was an event. She'd beam with pride as she held up the tiny treasure, already imagining what surprise might appear beneath her pillow by morning. It was a ritual that brought her uncontainable joy, and in her father's hands, that joy often turned into something unforgettable. Elvis wasn't just playing along. He was determined to make those small moments feel larger than life. And this is where Elvis's softer, humorous side came shining through. While the rest of the world might have been asleep, he was still wide awake, wandering the mansion in his nocturnal routine. But when it came to Lisa, his schedule didn't matter. With a wink and a grin, he slipped into the role of the Tooth Fairy himself, trading her tooth for a reward far bigger than she expected. It was Elvis at his most endearing, equal parts playful and generous, proving that, for his little girl, he was willing to bend reality just to keep the magic alive. One night at Graceland, Lisa Marie came running to her father, proudly showing off the little gap where her tooth had just been. Elvis smiled, teased her gently about her new smile, and listened as she excitedly talked about what the Tooth Fairy might bring. That night, after she drifted off to sleep, Elvis slipped quietly into her room. With his larger-than-life flair, he tucked a crisp $10 bill beneath her pillow, a sum far beyond what most children ever dreamed the Tooth Fairy could deliver. For Elvis, it wasn't about the money. It was about making Lisa feel special, giving her a memory that would sparkle brighter than any coin. The next morning, Lisa's joy was unstoppable. She burst into her father's room, waving the bill with wide-eyed excitement and insisting they go shopping right away. To her, the Tooth Fairy hadn't just left a gift. She'd given her a ticket to adventure with her dad. Elvis, still rubbing the sleep from his eyes after another long night, couldn't help but laugh at her enthusiasm. He promised her that once he was fully awake, they would head out together. For Lisa, This was more than just a reward. It was a magical bond with her father that turned something ordinary into something extraordinary. But outside of Graceland's walls, things were much different. At Priscilla's house, the Tooth Fairy's visits were modest. Just a quarter or maybe 50 cents under the pillow. It was practical, it was traditional, and it kept things grounded. The contrast between the two homes couldn't have been sharper. Where Priscilla valued structure and simplicity, Elvis leaned into indulgence and spectacle. And it was this difference, this widening gap in how each parent showed love, that would soon set the stage for a clash no one in the Presley family would forget. Full of excitement, Lisa Marie couldn't wait to share her discovery with her mother. She picked up the phone and eagerly told Priscilla about the Tooth Fairy's generous gift. Her little voice brimmed with pride as she explained that under her pillow she hadn't found just a coin, but a crisp bill worth 10 whole dollars. To Lisa, it was pure magic, proof that her childhood wonder was alive and real. But on the other end of the line, Priscilla's reaction was far from amused. Priscilla, stunned by what she heard, quickly realized the gift hadn't come from the Tooth Fairy at all, but from Elvis himself. To her, it wasn't just about money. It was about setting limits and teaching her daughter the value of simple joys. Upset, she confronted Elvis directly, telling him in no uncertain terms that he was spoiling Lisa. Her words carried the frustration of a mother who believed in discipline, fairness, and balance. But for Elvis, it wasn't a matter of coins or bills. It was about love, and he didn't take kindly to being told how to show it. Full of excitement, Lisa Marie couldn't wait to share her discovery with her mother. She picked up the phone and eagerly told Priscilla about the Tooth Fairy's generous gift. Her little voice brimmed with pride as she explained that under her pillow she hadn't found just a coin, but a crisp bill worth 10 whole dollars. To Lisa, it was pure magic, proof that her childhood wonder was alive and real. But on the other end of the line, Priscilla's reaction was far from amused. Priscilla, stunned by what she heard, quickly realized the gift hadn't come from the Tooth Fairy at all, but from Elvis himself. To her, it wasn't just about money. It was about setting limits and teaching her daughter the value of simple joys. Upset, she confronted Elvis directly, telling him in no uncertain terms that he was spoiling Lisa. Her words carried the frustration of a mother who believed in discipline, fairness, and balance. But for Elvis, it wasn't a matter of coins or bills. It was about love, and he didn't take kindly to being told how to show it. That moment revealed something vital about Elvis's character as a father. To the outside world, he was a global icon, burdened by fame and expectations. But to Lisa, he was the man who would move heaven and earth just to see her smile. He wasn't worried about being conventional or measured. His instinct was to be generous, to give her the kind of magic he never had growing up. Elvis's love wasn't restrained. It was boundless, and when it came to Lisa, he wanted nothing more than to let her feel adored and treasured every single day. Yet, standing opposite him was Priscilla, whose approach to parenting couldn't have been more different. Where Elvis gave without hesitation, Priscilla believed in teaching restraint. She valued practicality, structure, and the lessons that came from modest rewards. To her, spoiling Lisa risked setting her up for disappointment later in life. This contrast, Elvis's indulgence against Priscilla's discipline, was more than just a difference in parenting styles. It was a fundamental divide that would surface again and again, shaping not only their relationship with each other, but also the way Lisa experienced life between two very different worlds. Lisa Marie's time with her father was heartbreakingly short, just 9 precious years before fate intervened. Yet in those years, she formed a bond with Elvis that went far beyond the glitz and glamour of who he was to the world. To her, he was not the king, but simply her dad, the man who made her laugh, who filled her childhood with moments of wonder, and who gave her the kind of love that left a permanent imprint on her heart. Every late-night story, every indulgent surprise, every moment of tenderness became part of the foundation of their relationship, a bond that even time and tragedy could never erase. Billy Smith, who had seen those years unfold up close, would later reflect on Lisa with a fondness that spoke volumes. After her passing, he described her humor, her spark, and her uncanny resemblance to her father's playful nature. To Billy, Lisa carried Elvis's spirit within her, a quick wit, a mischievous charm, and a resilience that reminded him of the little girl who once ran through the halls of Graceland, lighting up the mansion with laughter. His tribute wasn't just about remembering her life, but about connecting the threads of father and daughter, showing how deeply alike they truly were. And through it all, one truth stands unshaken: Elvis's love for Lisa never wavered. Even in moments of conflict, when parenting differences collided or tempers flared, his devotion to his daughter was absolute. He wanted her to feel adored, to know she was special, and to grow up surrounded by the magic he longed to give her. That love was his greatest gift to her, one that outshined the fame, the fortune, and even the music. It was a love that lived in the quiet moments, in the laughter, in the little acts of care, and it's a love that still echoes in every story told about them today. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more untold moments from Elvis's life, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next video. Don't forget to like this one if it kept you hooked, and we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. Do you think Elvis was right to be so indulgent, or was Priscilla's approach the better path? Your perspective matters, and we can't wait to see what you think.